Live Season 11 is sponsored by All In Merchandise. Bam! All In Merch is your source for the finest band merch from early hardcore to up-and-coming bands. All In is the go-to. Each item is developed with the artist and decorated with care in upstate New York by folks, cats that love the music and they love the scene. You know what I'm saying? Proceeds are issued directly back to the artists. Order your merch at allinmerch.com and support your favorite band. And 3, 2, 1. What is going on, everybody? It's your boy, the Lo-Fi Horror Guy. Welcome to another episode of the Lo-Fi Horror Guys Growing on You Live. And today is the season finale, and what a better way to end it than with my dude, the author of this book here, my dude, Jon Contino. Oh my God, I am so excited, man. This is going to be so sick. I cannot wait. Honestly, this was such a tough interview to write just because the dude has such a huge career of work, such a huge body of different things. From sports to clothing to branding, the dude is insane. So it was tough as far as trying to, kind of get down as far as what all we were going to be covering here today. But I think I cracked a little bit of it, at least for a part one. So we're going to get my dude Jon tied in here. Jon, what is up, dude?
Yo.
Oh, man, thank you so much for your time today, man. I am so stoked on this.
Yo, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is honestly, it's been one of the tougher things to try to calculate down on what I wanted to ask about, and I've kind of cracked it down to a little bit here as far as hopefully we get some cool shit covered here.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. Just trying to see if I can get a better angle here so everybody's not staring at my fan.
Okay. All right. So, well, basically here on Growing on You Live, initially I got a couple of intro questions, and then the remainder of the interview is about you and your craft, your career, and body of work. And then I have one finale that I wrote just for you, dude. So if you're all comfy, you're all set, get this bad boy on started.
Oh, good.
Sweet. Let me ask you first of all right, so, during this pandemic, maybe a little bit of, a slow down time, and especially not for artists, I can say. I don't think a whole lot has slowed down for you in this time, correct?
No, 2020 was an extra fast year for me. Actually, it was out of control.
Okay, all right. So let me ask you as far as, so from the standpoint, if somebody reached out and they said, Jon, look, we want to write an album, and we want you to be on drums. What would be a dream project for you? You're going to play drums with any other 4 musicians. Who's going to be in this band, dude?
Oh, man, with any other 4 musicians?
Yeah.
Damn.
It's gonna be tough.
Well, I will say when I was younger, it was right when Sworn Enemy was blowing up, and a friend of mine, Jimmy, who used to be in another band, was just like, yo, you should play drums for Sworn Enemy. Oh, and I was like, I would love to play drums for Sworn Enemy, but I was like 17,
okay.
And they were like about to get signed to like Elektra or something like that. So it was just like it was a big step up from Stillborn. And obviously they were just like, how about we get like a pro instead?
Oh, shit. Okay. That'd be so sick.
I don't know, man. I would man, any 4 musicians, that's a tough one. I mean, I would have the place where I felt like I most fit in at the time when I was at my like peak playing was like demo era, first record era, Between the Buried and Me.
Oh.
And that was
yes.
it was like a good amount of like technical, like death style, but they still had like a little bit of like the hardcore background. Yeah. So it was like it was kind of that range, like maybe like or even like Irate would have been really good. I would have been into playing with those guys. Something that had like a mix of like hardcore and death metal would have been right up my alley.
Totally. That rips. Yeah, I love that. That's sick. And I have to mention, as far as, digging into some of your projects too with playing drums and things, I about fucking died looking into the Ambition and hearing the song The Liar, The Snitch, and The War Zone. Holy fuck. It's like, what a fucking awesome title name. Like, God, if I had only known about that at the time, I'd have probably been a fucking fanboy of that shit. That was hilarious. I about fucking shit my pants laughing at that.
It's so funny. It was just like when we wrote that, it was like the end of the line for us, and it was we were just surrounded by like negativity, and we just the three of us, my singer Nick, my guitarist Mike, and I were just like sitting in a diner or something somewhere, and we just like came up with it together. We're like, wow, why was that so easy? It should have been a lot harder to come up with that name.
So sick. Oh yeah, I love that. That was awesome. That was awesome. All right, so now digging in a little bit to, I've been listening, keeping up on the old podcast, the Nose podcast.
Yeah,
I absolutely love that, and I had tons of questions, but I narrowed it down to just one thing. You'd mentioned about a cliffhanger episode. You'd mentioned something as far as the Who Shot Mr. Burns episode, leaving you wondering, what was going to happen after. What would you say as a horror or non-horror movie that never got a sequel that you wish did?
Oh, never got a sequel that I wish got a sequel. The Burbs. I mean, it didn't really have a cliffhanger, but I would have loved to have seen like a second installment in that.
Yeah, totally. What a good answer. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I love that. That would be so sick. I mean, I think, do you think now, like, all these years later, do you think it would be something that would be like a successful take, or would it be kind of like them trying to redo the Ghostbusters and you're like, God damn it, leave it alone?
It's so funny. I was just having this conversation with my sister-in-law the other day too about what they were doing with Ghostbusters. And it was just like, I know people got all outraged like they always do about like redoing like an old property. And it's like, to me, like, I have two little girls, and I was excited to have like a female Ghostbusters because it was just something I grew up with. I thought maybe they would be able to latch on to it the same way that I did. And watching it, it's just like you realize it's not the people that change something. It's like everything. It's the setting. It's the time period. Like Ghostbusters today wouldn't be, well, maybe today, like today maybe will be a different story. But like Ghostbusters in like the modern era doesn't work because it was awesome in the early 80s because New York was like a garbage dump, like it kind of, it like made sense that everything was, all decrepit, and the building they went into was like a piece of garbage, and like, everything just felt like it was like bad vibes and all that kind of stuff. And like New York is very like bubbly and happy these days. Well, prior to the pandemic anyway, but it was always like bright, and like it, Times Square looked like Disney World, and it was like totally different. So you can't kind of get the same effect. So if you were going to do it, you got to do it someplace else that's kind of like on the way out instead of on the way up.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Nice. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I respect that, and I think I'm a little less critical when it comes to things like that. A lot of people are like, maybe it's just the fact that they're so obsessed or so in love with the original that, they don't want to give anything else a chance. But there's plenty of stuff out there, that may be a remake or kind of like a sequel to it, that's good if you just give it a fucking chance. It's just some people are so tied on the original content.
I have no problem with people like doing it over again, because I feel like it's how many stories have been retold over and over again? Like how many like of your favorite movie is just kind of like a retelling of another story anyway, So I think it's fine. I just think you got to make sure that the elements are all there, and that it kind of like, it takes that same story and just gives it another really solid twist that people can kind of latch onto. So I think when they focus on the wrong things, that's when you kind of end up with just kind of like, people getting mad about it instead of just embracing it and just loving it as its own thing.
Yeah, right. Okay, yeah. Nice. All right, so as far as digging into, your kind of your background, your upbringing with artwork, your parents, grandparents, you had lots of artists and lots of artwork, in your life at a young age. What were some pieces or paintings maybe early on that drew your attention that, maybe you didn't appreciate then, but wish that you could have kept for today?
I would say, luckily there's a lot of stuff that's been in my family that everybody holds on to because, everyone is creative, so it's like everyone's kind of appreciated the work that's gone into it. And I feel like a lot of those things that I wish that were still around, a lot of times it's just like me calling up my mom and being like, is that still around? She goes, yeah. You want it? So it's
okay.
We haven't really had much loss, and it's kind of, man, even like when my grandparents passed away, like going to help like kind of clean out their house and stuff like that, I found a bunch of stuff where I was just like, oh, I remember this, and I kept it, and it's like here, you know. So
oh, nice. Wow.
I would say actually that's one thing that I can say that I actually do have. If anything, like the only things that I can think back in time that I wish I saved that I remember just chucking was all my old show flyers. Like I really wish I kept those instead of just like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Wow. And so was that a lot of times like with your show flyers when you were doing, you know, different gigs or whatever, whether booking or playing, were you doing the flyers for them generally?
I was doing some flyers. I was definitely spending more time on the demo covers and the merch and stuff like that than I was the flyers. And I, you know, at the time I kind of didn't really know what I was doing. So my flyers were kind of weak. Other people definitely did better flyers than me. So it was other people's flyers that I really liked. My flyers, I kind of really didn't give a shit about.
Oh, okay. Okay. What, I mean, was it something too, because you were a little bit younger, you know, as far as doing some of that stuff, was that something where you kind of found, you know, when cats were like, you know, seeing this little kid doing some of this shit as opposed to somebody older, may it be, you know, your stuff was more talented, or was it just kind of like nah, we got other people doing this shit?
It was definitely, well, cause I was also a little guy too. Like I when I was like 16 or something like that, like I was going to hardcore shows. I was like 5 feet tall. And then when I was like 16, I had like a 7 or 8 inch growth spurt in the middle of high school, you know? So, I was like the little guy, always young and in size. So it was, at that time, it was just like, who is this kid? Like, I remember I had a job one time that, it was someone recommended me to like a local Harley Davidson dealership. So I walk in and I'm like, hey, here, I'm here to help you. And the guy was like, is your dad here? So I didn't get that job.
Oh no. Damn. That was just flat out like, nah, no thanks.
Yeah, he was just like, aren't you kind of young? And I was like, trust me, I know more about this than whoever else you're going to bring in here. He was like, okay. So.
Oh shit, that sucks, man. Yeah, well, I mean, look at you now, though. You know, at least the persistence kind of pushed through for sure.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I always used to use those things as fuel to kind of like to be better and to you know, to make it so that people. I wanted people to think that they couldn't live without what I do. You know, even if I was a young kid, even if I was like whatever, or I seemed immature or something like that, I always conducted myself pretty professionally, and I always tried really hard to make sure that the extra effort was noticed.
Yeah, totally. Okay, yeah, I love that. When, you know, and kind of going along with these earlier days as far as you and drawing and your artistry, what were some things earlier on that, you know, were the first couple of things that you drew that looked like the source material? You know, if it was like a band logo, or I know you've mentioned, you know, drawing movie posters, different things like that. What are some earlier things that come to mind?
I mean, some of the earliest stuff that I used to draw was, number one was like the Ghostbusters logo. I like totally obsessed. Like I think my mom ended up, this was a couple of years ago, she found like a box full of papers, and all it was the Ghostbusters logo over and over and over again. So like,
oh my god!
When I found something I liked, I stuck to it. Like the Yankees logo, obviously, the old New York Jets logo, where it had like the jet going across. I used to draw that a lot. The Knicks logo, the Islanders logo, a lot of sports stuff, because it's had so much personality to it, you know. That was kind of like the main. And then I got a little bit older, and then it was like Jurassic Park, Ninja Turtles, you know, stuff like that. So nice. it was definitely a lot of movies, a lot of sports, and it was all logos for the most part.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was gonna ask that too about with like the movie posters, if that was like you were doing, you know, like a Jurassic Park thing, like the dinosaur, or if it was more of the type and the logo wise of it.
It was always like the type and the logo. Like my favorite, even like, I mean, as detailed as I got was maybe like the Jaws poster. You know, like I always liked stuff that was like really encapsulated, that felt like it was like a thing. You know, like if it was like a movie poster that had all different people, you know, if it was like Back to the Future movie poster or something like that, To this day, I want nothing to do with that amount of detail. You know?
Nice. You gotta knowing your own limits.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. So now, as far as, as a young man growing up on Long Island, I wanted to ask about, specific things that kind of drew your attention. May it be, tagging or, billboard, movie posters. What were some things early on that you remember really drawing your attention?
It was definitely the tagging. I used to love all the tagging that was all around. So it was just like there was always like the spillover from the city, where I grew up. So it was like the train station or the side of bars or the side of dumpsters or supermarkets or something like that. There was always tags, and there was a lot of kids around me all the time that were doing graffiti, and I was so obsessed with graffiti. I was so bad at it, but I was so obsessed with it, and it was just like that. The idea of the way that people used to that lettering style, that kind of graffiti lettering style was just, like the S's were so sick. The A's, everything, it was such a, like the way, there's so many things about the style in that I still use in my work today. It's kind of like buried, and I'm sure like a lot of people wouldn't recognize it, but like there are hints of like the way I'll do certain things that's just like I wish I was a graffiti artist. And I just like throw it into that,
Okay. Damn. Okay. All right. Did you have certain things, like certain even tags or images that, that you remember sticking out, or something that you saw like that was spray painted all over that you're like, damn, who the hell is this guy?
No, I never really paid attention to whose tag I was like feeling at the time or anything like that. It was more or less like I would always zone in on, like the S or the E or something, I would just like, no matter whose tag it was, I didn't even care. I would just look, and then I would just kind of like analyze, or like there were certain people that would do like the 3D block versions, and the arrows would shoot out and all that kind of stuff, or the kids with the hoodies up and that kind of style and all that, whatever. I always used to love that. But it was always about the details, not so much kind of like the bigger thing, because I was always just like, how did you do that S? How did you do that E? How'd you do that B? And like the way it would like bubble up and block out and then shoot out, and it was so much motion and so much energy and just like so raw. I used to be obsessed, but like I never could quite crack that look. And to this day, I don't even know if I could do it now.
It's totally one of those things too, where like you see something, especially when it's something that's that's so clean, and thinking about the fact that you're under all this pressure too, like somebody's about to run up on you or some shit like that. It's like, how the fuck, man? Like it's such an appreciation of like it's insane. So asking about that type of stuff and hearing about the different tagging, I always love hearing that. I had Mike Gallo on from Agnostic Front, and we were talking that quite a bit, just going back and forth, because I'm like, man, like it's insane. Somebody that actually can do this shit, like it's great. I love it, and do it cleanly.
And it's like you remember the bands that used to use it for their demo covers and stuff. And I was always so jealous. Like we used to be good friends with Diesel from Long Island, and those guys. I remember one of their old demos from like '97 or something like that had a really sick tag, and their drummer Rick is a really good artist. And I remember just being obsessed. And there was a kid I used to go to high school with who had because you remember the days of like printing on like jerseys and stuff. He had a soccer jersey with the Diesel tag. It was like Diesel 756 LIHC, something like that on there. And I was like, I need that shirt. And they made like 20 of them or something. I could never get my hands on it. It's like one of those things I always wish I had.
Slip through the cracks. That's maybe today, shit, you never know. You can find some of that stuff on eBay and all over the fucking place.
I feel like I reached out to him like years ago, like when we were adults and stuff. I was like, yo, you got any more of those laying around? He was like, dude, I haven't seen that in like 25 years.
Damn. That is sick. I mean, and it's always fun to have some of those things too. And every once in a while, if you see something pop up, and you remember like going back to those times and like, holy shit, I never thought I'd see one of these things. So that's sweet. I love that. So as far as like, kind of fast forwarding a little bit, take us to a time where you got into a project where you felt like it was just made for you. They're kind of giving you the pitch, and they're going through different directions and styles, and it hits on multiple categories of things that you just love. Can you tell us about, a particular project like this?
Well, there's one project I'm working on right now, which I feel like was made for me, and I could talk about it because I can't show it, but I could definitely
Mm.
talk about it. I'm working on the campaign identity for the Macy's Fourth of July fireworks show, and to
Holy
me,
shit.
yeah, to me that is like encapsulates like everything about my life. Because like when I was growing up, I remember my dad used to do the fireworks in the street, and then when we were done with the fireworks, I would go inside and I would turn on channel 11 and I would watch the fireworks on TV. And like every year, I would never miss the fireworks show. Even in my adult years, like I'd find
Wow.
my way onto a rooftop or something and watch it, or no matter what I was, even in my older age now, like I'll do like a fireworks show in the neighborhood and I have my kids, neighbors, my parents, whatever, and I'll still go inside and watch the Macy's one. And they reached out to me once a few years ago. There was an older guy that worked there then, and he was just like, your stuff is maybe a little too wild for it or whatever. But a younger guy who was working there at the time now has taken over, and he reached out and he was like, I was the one who was pushing you then. He's like, now I get to
Oh,
make the
wow.
choices, the decisions. I want you to do it now. So we were just ripping through it, and it was just like it just came so naturally. Fireworks, New York City, the Fourth of July thing, like all that stuff is just like so much of my life, like put into one that it was just I was just like, yo, just tell me when to stop. I'll just keep doing stuff,
Dang. Well, I mean, what an opportunity. That's absolutely insane. And I mean, that's something where, I mean, even, just being a younger cat, like starting out doing artistry and stuff, that's probably something that you never really thought, like, that's like a dream project,
Oh
I would
yeah.
assume. Wow.
It,
Damn, that's
this
huge.
this
That's awesome.
this stuff that pops up like these days, like a job is a job. It's like work is work and whatever. Like doesn't matter if it's a small client or a big client or whatever. Work is work. But there are definitely certain ones that come across the inbox that perk up my ears a little bit and I get excited about, and that was definitely one of them.
Wow. Yeah, that's insane. Yeah, as far like where did some of the talks or the presentations come into play? Was it something, early on, maybe with like an earlier job that you had to, pitch some sort of products, or where did that come into play?
I've always been I grew up Italian from Long Island. Like my family spent since they came here in like I don't know 19 whatever, Lower East Side, Queens, whatever. All spread around the boroughs and stuff like that. We've always been loudmouths. You know, so I've always been very opinionated, and in my house, it's always kind of like you got to fight for someone to hear you. So we're constantly talking
Oh,
over
yeah.
one another, and it was one of those things where it's just like once I started to get really good at what I was doing, I started to understand it. I started to have opinions about how things could be better, how wanting to share my failures or whatever, and think about like how I found my way out of a black hole, and just kind of like sharing my experience because I thought that maybe it would be helpful for people, maybe it would be interesting to hear kind of the way and I never really did it as a way where it's just like I need attention. I did it as a way to just kind of like all the stuff that's in my head. I just need to get it out,
Hmm.
and I had one opportunity years ago to do a small speaking event, and I really enjoyed it. And then, when people, I think once I did that, there was a handful of people there who were just like, oh, I'd love if you speak at this. I'd love if you'd speak at that. And it just kind of snowballed. So I would speak at places like Parsons or Pratt or, bigger events with like, thousands of people like at conferences and stuff like that. And even now, like doing like Zoom conference speaking events with like 300 Zoom people on a chat at the same time. So
Oh,
I've done
wow.
like 4 of those already since this time last year. So it's been one of those things where it's just like I like to share my experience, and I think I've had so many lows and a handful of highs that I think it's a good learning experience with people who are just like, how do you do this? How do you do that? And what do you do if this happens? Because I feel like I've been through it all. So it's fun to be able to share it and know that it's behind me as opposed to like dark times ahead, knock on wood.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's one thing that I hit at, like, after being introduced to your work and kind of looking further and seeing that you were doing different interviews, you're doing different presentations and things, was the fact of like the kind of humbleness behind, you know, sitting here listening to somebody and like the body of work that you had, but yet you're talking about some of the failures and some of the shit that you had to go through and some of the, you know, like the I guess the presentation in general, you know, when I'm sitting there not really feeling like maybe I'm not learning something at the time, it's almost like a comedy show. Like I'm sitting here laughing at shit. Like I'm like, what is happening? Like it's all, but it's so cool, you know, because it gives it a little bit of a different, more, you know, relatability as far as, you know, as opposed to going and just listening to somebody and being like, what the hell did I just listen to? Like, why did I sit on this?
Yeah, well, that's a little bit of combination of kind of coming from a funny family and you know, secretly wanting to be a stand-up comedian, and then also kind of like seeing like plenty of design conferences and stuff and wanting to like put a screwdriver through my brain because, you know, like I always say like, yeah, like not everybody is supposed to be an entertainer or not everybody is supposed to do presentations. So like if I had the opportunity to do it, I wanted to make it fun and entertaining and enjoyable and like make it feel more like a conversation so that we could laugh about it together. And, you know, if you can't laugh at yourself, you know, who are you going to laugh at? So I would try to make sure that like people could laugh at the stupid things that happen to me and things, you know, and make it a little bit easier so that when like bad shit does happen, you know, you can kind of smirk about it and not, you know, not want to end it all, you know?
Okay. All right. Now with some of these Zoom meetings that you've had, you know, as of recent, you know, have there been times where you kind of set up a little bit of a joke and you cast it out there and then maybe it's like you don't know if it's a digital thing, but nobody laughs and you're like, did anybody hear that? Like, or am I just failing?
Yeah. The problem with the Zoom meetings is that everyone just puts themselves on mute.
Oh,
so it's just like you can't tell if a joke is hitting or not. So I actually for the Zoom meetings I've kept them leaner and taken out some of the jokes because I'm just like I can't tell if people like this or not.
Yeah, right. You're like, okay, well I guess I'll cut this conversation like half hour from what it was going to be. Damn, that's funny. I like that. Now, as far as you know, your musical background, I wanted to cut into that a little bit. You know, as far as with hardcore being an inspiration and, you know, kind of like a really, you know, a major part still today with yourself, hitting on you, you know, first getting your first drum set and your interest in Dave Grohl. Where did that first drum set come from?
So my uncle's a drummer and he's a really good drummer. He used to play in a Rush cover band in the 70s. So
played drums?
Yeah.
Oh shit! All right.
Yeah. So yeah,
he's about it.
Yeah, dude. He's a sick drummer. He still is a sick drummer. So he kind of started teaching me when I was a kid. You know, I was like 5 or 6 years old. I started playing on the pad and stuff like that. Then I lost it for a little bit, and then kind of like in the early '90s, Nevermind came out, and it was a hit with, you know, all of my friends and stuff like that. And I remember being on the bus and handing the Walkman to each other to like, yo, check this song out, yo, listen to it, and we would all take turns listening to it. And that's kind of when my obsession with Nirvana started. And I just loved how like raw and gritty and like imperfect it was. And I, as a drummer, I started playing around that time, and I just emulated everything that Dave Grohl did. I loved it. You know, I even like kind of looked like him when I was a kid, you know? So it was just like, I was just so obsessed with it. And then, you know, it's the funny thing is too, is when I got older, I was thinking about, you know, like you do these interviews with people like, who's an influence on you and who's this and who's that. And I started thinking back to like shit that like Dave Grohl would say when they were talking about recording Nevermind. And he was talking about like they wanted him to play to a click track. And he was like, I'm not doing that. Like, I can't play to a click track. And it's just like, that is like this story of my life. The drums, design, whatever, like I cannot play to a click track. I just got to go with the flow, how it feels, what the energy dictates, whatever. And I was just like, that's perfectly stated, you know?
Wow. I mean, as a drummer myself, you know, today that's awesome. I've never thought of it like that, but damn, that's sick. I've never heard that quote, but that's awesome. I mean, it totally makes sense too. So that's
it's weird. It's weird when you hear something like that, and at one point it like means something different than it used to mean. You're like, oh yeah, because like I was always just like, because I'm like, oh, like maybe, you know, like my tempo always changed a little bit, and you know, whatever. But like I was thinking about it, I was just like, shit. I was like, that just like that just like defines who I am. No
yeah,
kickbacks.
yeah. Well, have that on like a next T-shirt or something like that. Next book cover. Now, as far aside from Nirvana, what were some other songs that you wanted to learn early on into playing drums?
Oh man, dude, I mean the one and only song that mattered when I was a kid was "One" by Metallica. Like,
oh man,
that was it. It was like, you know, like I was like, I need to know how to play that. I need to know how to use my feet to do those things.
That music video.
It was One, and it was also there's a Nirvana version. So I was a huge Nirvana fan. So I collected all the bootlegs and the imports and everything. And the one of the other things that I really loved was like this like really sloppy roll that Dave Grohl did at the end of Pay to Play, which was a version of Stay Away that's on Nevermind. And he did another version of it on In Utero, I think on like Serve the Servants or Scentless Apprentice or something. And then there's like another one in like Endless Nameless. And it's just like this weird kind of like droppy kind of, you know, like it just sounds like falling down. And I tried to figure out how to play that like forever, and I could never quite nail it the way he did it. But that was one of those other things. I was just like, I want to learn how to play that one thing.
Yeah, okay.
Loved it.
And it's so funny, something like that too. I mean, that might have just been from him being tired at the end of a set, and he's like,
totally.
You know. And meanwhile, we're sitting here listening, like, how the hell do I get this down? Like, I can't get it right. And it's like, well, you got to play an hour-long set and just be tired. Put all your energy into it. There you go. All right, so let's say years later here, you work on the album back here, The Cost of Living with Incendiary. What is the initial conversation that comes about, as far as you working with them on the layout of the album there?
Well, I knew those guys for a long time. We all kind of came up at the same time, kind of deal. And when I was still playing, dude, and then when they started Incendiary, I remember it was kind of like my business partner at the time, Matt Gorton, who used to play guitar in Antarabe. We were, word got around. It was just like, hey, these guys are starting a new band, like we need a guitarist, we need a bassist, we need a drummer. And it was just like, what kind of cast of characters from Long Island are going to play in this band? And eventually they kind of found their way together, and they were awesome. And it's just like, how it is too. Like if you're playing with people in the scene, you either love them or you hate them. You either, you're obsessed with them or you're jealous of them. Like, it's just, like, why are these guys so good? Or it's like, I love these guys. They're great guys. The band is awesome. So it's just like one or the other. And they like split it down the middle. I was like, damn, they are so good. I hate them. But like, they're such cool guys. And the music was so good that it was just like obsessed from the beginning, And then when I got the email asking me to do the record, I was so excited because I was like, this is great. This is such an awesome kind of like 180 back into where I came from, and the idea was super cool. That the way that they kind of wanted to get this like work yourself to death kind of idea, and the whole thing just like really clicked. It like really locked in, and it was easy too because they were just like, yeah, just do something cool. So then I just did something, and they were like, "Cool, it's cool." That was that.
Oh my god! I was just wondering if it was like something like kind of an in-depth conversation, but that's funny.
You know what it was actually? We did a T-shirt. I think maybe the year before that, which was it was kind of based on Russian prison tattoos, and it was like the Grim Reaper hanging.
Okay.
And it was that was actually one of my favorite T-shirt designs. And then when we did this, we were trying to like mess around with what the idea was. And I was like, yo, let's try the Russian prison tattoo thing again. And that was kind of the basis of where it started. It didn't really end up there, but that was kind of like the, the flame that kind of kicked the whole thing into gear.
Okay. Yeah. And you've touched on this, in your podcast too, and different things, but as far as, just the appreciation from a fan's point of view, something as simple even as the casket on the back there, you know, becoming kind of like a prolific New York hardcore thing, you know, to where like cats having shit tattooed and cats having it all over the place. Like that's absolutely wild. You know, you never know kind of what's gonna hit and what's gonna, you know, visually stimulate, you know, people.
It's so funny too, because like, you know, like once I started working so much, it was harder for me to get to shows, and then I started a family, and then it was even harder to get to shows. So like I had, you know, over the past 10 years or so, I've been very like peripherally involved in the hardcore scene, where it's just trying to like hold on to it, but really not having the opportunity to get to shows the way I used to. So like I didn't know what the impact was, and you know, I would see people with the tattoos and stuff like that. But, you know, like sometimes people just get tattoos of like their favorite record or something like that. Mm-hmm. So I never really thought anything of it. And I think it wasn't until I talked to Tom from Indecision, and he was like, yo, that thing is like everywhere. Like, it's like iconic. And I was like, what? You know, like I had no idea. And now like, I hear people telling me that over and over again. And I couldn't be happier that it's for those guys, for that scene, for that world, that I was able to kind of make something like that. So it's, I would probably say it's one of, if not the highlight of my design career.
Damn. Yeah. That's sick. I love it. You know, I can say, I remember, you know, with my buddies in my band, I remember having a conversation saying like, dude, I'm just going to get this product of New York tattoo, this casket and shit. And then I started thinking about it. I'm like, I'm from fucking Michigan. Like, I can't do that. That's going to be totally like some poser ass shit. Like, oh yeah, where are you from? It's like, I don't even hear your accent. It's like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to have fun. You know, somebody's got to make like a Michigan tattoo that's going to be sick like that. Product of the lakes or some shit. I don't know. But I was like, oh, I can't do that. So yeah. But yeah, I'm totally jealous of everybody that does have it, because what a sick image, you know, for sure.
It's so fun. The funniest thing was too is I was doing when my book came out, I was doing like a mini book tour, and one of them was up in Albany, New York, and Justin from Closed Casket came, and we were just bullshitting, and he showed me, he got the tattoo also, and I was like, yo, this is like the real deal. And it's super, it's to the point where I'm almost just like, should I get that tattoo?
Oh my God. Yeah, you have to go and, you know, pay somebody something that you made. Like, oh yeah, man, who drew this? Me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that's kind of funny. I've never thought of that. I mean, you've gotten different things before tattooed that you've drawn up, I'm sure.
No. Mm-mm.
Really?
No. The only thing I've ever gotten is this C in a diamond.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I didn't even design this particular version of it. It was just my idea, and I didn't want to touch it. I had John Sultana do it for me and my dad and my two brothers. So we got the C with the 4 planks leaning on each other from my dad, my brothers, and I. So it was just,
damn, wow.
So we all got it. So it was one of those things we always talked about doing, and then we actually did it. So that's the closest I've ever come to designing anything that's on my skin. Oh, not to mention, one time I just tattooed an NY on my leg, so I don't know if that counts.
Okay, nice. I mean, it just kind of brought to mind, you know, somebody like, you go in and you bring like a tattoo artist, because sometimes they're kind of salty about doing somebody else's work, you know. They're like, what asshole drew this? And me?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, well, let's get it done, I guess. All right, next I wanted to touch on this bad boy here. We got Brand by Hand. This absolutely, dude, one of the things automatically off the top is the black pages. Like, just some of the things, you know, that kind of like popped out that were a little bit different with it. What were, you know, from different projects and different, you know, jobs that you've had, what was some things that you had to, you know, learn and take on in putting out a book?
Oh man, it's been, well, I think number one has been kind of, I think, working in music packaging a lot back in the day, like 20 years ago or so. That helped, because you know, it teaches you a lot about getting things ready for print. It teaches you a lot about paper stocks and different ways to kind of like get certain effects of certain things like that. And then, you know, like eventually working on books and work, you know, all sorts of different printed material or whatever. That'll kind of get you ready. You know, obviously making mistakes gets you ready too. So I've done plenty of that to see like what doesn't look cool in print. But for that book, I was just like, I knew what I wanted. I wanted it to feel natural to me. Like, what would I do if I just like close my eyes and roll out of bed? What would it look like? And that's, to me, that's what it would look like. So fun fact about that book too, it's not printed on black paper.
No shit.
That's white paper flooded with black. So essentially what you're getting, that book is the most amount of ink you can put in a book of that size.
What?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
So like all the outside, everything, the whole entire thing is just completely saturated with ink to the point where it's like, if you take another book, another regular book that's the same amount of pages, the same size, that book is probably twice as heavy.
Holy shit, that is insane.
Yeah.
Wow, that is fucking crazy. Damn.
Pretty cool.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was just kind of wondering because it's one of those things where, like attention to detail, obviously, like being a graphic designer, artist, one of those things, you kind of expect those types of things, but then, getting the book and then seeing like the black pages, I'm like, oh, okay, there's like a black, outlining or something. And I'm like flipping through it. I'm like, these pages are black. Like, holy shit. Okay.
Solid. The only time that there's not ink on that is when you see a white image or white type that is actually the paper itself.
What the hell? That is crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Part of it too, and this is something that you learn too, like wherever there's small type or little detail, if you were to have a black page with white ink, it doesn't matter how good that printer is. Once you hit a certain size, you're going to see like the hole in the A fill or the hole in the O fill because the ink is going to, just naturally just fill that area and it's going to bleed to a certain extent. So doing a reverse print like that, you get it a lot crisper.
Damn, that is absolutely wild. Holy shit. Yeah. I mean,
that's something you learn the hard way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right. And then have that, being something like this. I wanted to touch on as well the lyrics in the beginning and the end of this for March On to Victory. Let's touch on that. What was important with that track that you had to have it beginning and end in the book?
That was a track that when I had my old studio with Matt, we used to listen to that track on repeat. We were big Shai Hulud fans, and that Zombie Apocalypse album came out, and we were really into it. But that one track we were obsessed with. It just has so much energy, and I just used to listen to it like for years, like all the time. I just listened to it all the time, and the lyrics, I love them so much because it's just about like total perseverance, a relentless like attitude, never giving up no matter what, and in such a graphically detailed way. And I love like, and we'll keep marching until our feet bleed, like all that whole thing. Like it's like nothing can stop you. No amount of obstacles in your way or whatever. Just to me, it was like perfect. And I reached out to Matt Fox and I was like, yo, is this cool? And he was like, yeah, it's totally cool. So I was like, awesome. Because that was I was going to call the book March On to Victory. And the publisher was like, well, people won't know what that means. They'll think it's like a book about war or something like that. So it was really hard for me to let go of the fact that I couldn't call the book that. So next best thing was to put the lyrics on the inside, and Matt said he was cool with it. So that's why they're there.
Damn, so sick. I mean, and it's a cool touch too, as well as it being handwritten out as opposed to it just being something pretty. I think that was something too that kind of drew my eye to the detail of it, not just being like some sort of words or some introduction or something like that, where you're looking at it and it's handwritten. It's like, okay, I need to look, go back. And I'm like, oh, of course, like, duh, no shit. Lyrics to that track. Okay.
I think that's my favorite part of the book too. Yeah, for sure.
Damn, solid. Nice. I love that. With now, one of the last pages there's a couple of images, I think maybe even 2 pages of binders of just all of the stuff that you've collected from over the years. Tell us about the process of selecting what you wanted in the book. I mean, I can only imagine with all the stuff that you have collected and you have still from over the years.
So I started working professionally when I was 14 years old. So my thought process was for this book to basically be just like the history from day one until this book, and it was that was kind of part of the whole process of like I had always wanted to do a book, and when the publisher approached me, I was like, what am I going to do the book on? Like normally with graphic designers, you'll have someone will do a book on you like when you're aging out or you're dead or something like that. Right. But they had this idea of producing volumes like every 10 years or something like that. So it's more content, it's more fun, it's more relevant, it's more energy. So I was like, yeah, it's cool. But so my thought was like, all right, well, let me start from the beginning and catch up to where I'm at. And then the next book I can do from this point to then. And it just, I started digging, and I was just like, damn, like I've done a lot of stuff. So it was, so the publisher reached out to me, I think in 2014 or 2015, and the book didn't come out till 2018. Mm-hmm. And that's because the first 2.5 years of that reach out was trying to decide what the book was going to be and what was going to be in the book. So it was like really, really hard to go through everything that I had and make it something. So when I actually did get to it, I made a huge spreadsheet, and I just started cataloging everything. And it must have taken me like 2 months to maybe catalog everything into a spreadsheet. And then I went down and I started picking stuff that I liked. And then the publisher came to my studio, and we sat there and we looked at everything. And then we went and we started chopping away. Because it's like, I don't know, so the book's like 300 pages or something. And you would think that you could fit a lot into 300 pages, and you can, but you cannot fit 20-something years worth of work into 300 pages. Right. It's like, right. It's like when someone does like a biopic on somebody, like you can't do Abraham Lincoln's whole life in an hour and a half. Right.
A Stephen King movie.
Yeah, right. And then when you break it down to like a regular person trying to just like catalog a few years, you're just like, wow, that's hard too. So it's just like, trying to get it all in there. It was basically just like picking the things that felt most relevant. And then we figured out that what we wanted to do was kind of break it up into chapters of inspiration, and then being able to grab work and fit it into the inspiration chapters. So it was a lot easier to cut stuff that way, because it was just like, well, this doesn't fall into any of those buckets, so it's just not going to go in. So that helped too. And then by the end of it, there was still like, I don't know, 20-something pages that I had to chop out at the very end. But it was hard, but I think the result came out pretty good.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, you mentioned it too. That was kind of the thing initially when ordering it and thinking, like, well, is it going to be something where he's going to catalog it by time? And if so, how the fuck does he know, like, when all this stuff came out or happened, and I think it was cool too, like I appreciate the details, may it be, musicians, artists, somebody from a movie, as far as the behind the scenes stuff, and seeing those binders, I was like, holy shit, man, that is so cool. That you still had that stuff and still had that catalog, for the rough drafts of different things of your own.
Well, the thing about those binders too is that I think it was maybe 6 months prior to when I started doing that. I didn't even have anything in binders. I had them in kind of like those big accordion folders that like accountants use.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And at the beginning of 2016 or so, my wife had grand jury duty, and my daughter was only, I don't know, she was like 2.5, 3. She was almost 3 years old. So when she was doing grand jury duty, I was just hanging with my daughter the whole time, and she was, playing. We would watch movies and stuff like that. I couldn't work. So what I did was I just grabbed all the stuff and I just started separating and cataloging and stuff while she was there. I went to Staples and I bought a bunch of those books and all the plastic sleeves. And then, while my wife was out in grand jury duty, I was just organizing the shit out of them. And then it ended up being kind of like, super helpful for when I did the book.
Yeah, right. Holy shit. Yeah, no kidding. Wow. That's probably something funny too. She comes home, she's like, hey, what'd you guys do today? You go to the park? And you're like, I cataloged some shit.
Yeah.
Your daughter's back there twirling her hair like, come on.
Yeah.
That is sick. I love it. It's funny. One other thing too, a little bit further in the book you touch on is your love of horror movies and kind of coming up and your interest in horror and some of the things that you've gotten to do as far as, what was it, an expedition? What was it that you did? I'm trying to think. not Hulu, but there was like a presentation of some sort. You did like the banner and did kind of like the I'm gonna have to find it.
Yes, the EMP museum.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay,
right.
so how did that come up?
That was they just reached out. They were just like, hey, we love. I think they referenced maybe two things that it was maybe because I did that Stephen King cover. I did that Stephen King cover. They liked the Stephen King cover, and they were just like, we're doing this like this horror exhibit. Can you do the branding for it? And I was like, hell yeah, absolutely. So I did the branding for it. The guys in Invisible Creature in Seattle, they did all the illustration work, and it was just like all this amazing horror history stuff. So it was super cool. It was like another one of those where it was just like really easy. It was just like I could just draw logos like this all day. Totally. I trained my life for this.
Yeah, totally. When so as a young kid, scanning some of the video aisles at a rental shop, what were some movies that drew your attention visually as far as the movie covers?
Oh man, maybe like what was it, like Maniac? Was it Maniac?
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? When it's like you can see the guy standing there and he's like the blood is dripping and it's just like Maniac and blood.
Just his torso.
Yeah. Like that. That was one. The Halloween cover with the knife in the eye.
Yeah, totally.
That was a sick one. The Exorcist I loved because of like the shadow and like the simple type at the top, or like the silhouette. Even like the Exorcist, like I could see it behind you too, like that silhouette. One of my favorite band logos is from The Haunted, when they have like they got that same silhouette in the name of the band.
Yeah, so sick.
I love it. Yeah. And then there's always like all the goofball ones too, like fucking Critters and all that shit, where it was just like 80s garbage. I used to love all that stuff.
Totally. Did you ever remember what was the one I was gonna you mentioned Critters, I was going to say Hobgoblins. You remember that?
Yes.
Dude. Yeah, I mean, what a pile of shit, but those movies, like, how did those even get made?
Dude,
how did studios approve those?
It's so funny too, because all those things that use those like puppets and everything are so dude, the gate,
yes,
amazing. The logo, the way that it was like in the ground with the claws coming up, and then just like all those little dudes, those little claymation dudes. Like, talk about terrifying. Like, the most terrifying movie in my life as a kid. And it was awesome, too, because it was, like, heavy metal devils coming out of the ground. Like, it had the cool logo. Like, you talk about it had it all.
Dude, did Brent ever watch that? I remember you mentioning that on the podcast, and I'm like, oh, my God, of course.
Probably not.
He needs to get out. He needs to get out on that. That'd be a for sure sick movie if he makes it all the way through.
What an amazing like triumph in cinematic history.
What did you think of the sequel? Did you ever watch that?
I never watched the sequel. No, I never watched it because I was just like, I don't even want to know. It's perfect
gotta leave
as it is.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. Mm-hmm. Tell us about let's say a good horror movie that maybe had bad cover art or a bad poster. What comes to mind? Something that you liked, but the cover art was like, man, if I would have chosen it off of this, I wouldn't have watched it.
Oh man, that's a good question. I feel like I can go a little bit more new on that one. I feel like the cover art for Insidious was really bad. But Insidious had that title sequence where it just says like Insidious and like you hear like the violins or whatever is like going on with the light. That was sick. But I felt like the cover art should have been as sick as that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I can see that for sure. Yeah. There's, like, I think one of the things too that comes to mind whenever I ask this too is like that kind of dimension, like earlier 2000, or I guess it was the 90s with like the Scream movies and like I Know What You Did Last Summer and like the floating heads, and it's like, man, what the hell is going on here?
Dude, honestly, it's easier it would be easier to just name a couple of really good pieces of cover art from the last 20 years than bad, because all of it is bad in the last 20 years. And it's not, it's not the artist's fault, it's the studios. And I know that one from experience, because it's not like the studios or the people in charge, like the art directors and stuff, they want to do cool stuff. But like you get producers and people on, like the board of this or whatever, and they are so narrow-minded into like what's gonna sell. Like you see those memes and stuff online about like every movie poster that has like blue and orange lighting. It's like, it's like this is the formula to sell a movie. But where's all the cool stuff? Like one of my favorites of recent memory is The House of the Devil, and that is incredible cover art.
That movie is so good. Ty West, he was the director, I think, right?
Yep.
Dude, he's doing some sick shit. I don't know if he's done anything as of recent, but man, he's done some cool stuff.
He has done some cool stuff. And then my absolute favorite of, the past like 20 years probably is The Witch. I just like aesthetically just amazing.
Did you watch The Lighthouse?
I didn't watch it yet. No, I didn't watch it yet.
I'm not gonna say much. You should check that one out though. That movie's sick. Same director. Yeah. That movie is badass.
I was obsessed with it, and I'm excited to watch it. It's like one of those things, like once you're a parent, you just like watch that, and then like 14 months goes by, and you're just like, what day is it?
You're like, oh yeah. There's different, the different things that kind of go by the wayside. You're like, maybe at some point, I'll stick with, whatever cartoon's cool right now. That is funny. What could you say as far as from all the movies that you've seen over the years? What would be 3 scenes that are forever ingrained in your brain, whether disgusting, shocking, or just unforgettable?
Oh, dude. Well, I mean, probably the one that's the most burned into my brain forever is in The Gate, when the kid opens his hand and there's the eyeball in it, and he takes the piece of glass and he stabs the eyeball. That one will forever be ingrained in my head. Then there is the movie Orca. Did you ever see Orca?
Yes.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Orca is when I think it's what's her name? Bo Derek, I think, is in it, and she has like a broken leg, and it's Orca is just a knockoff of Jaws, but like it's like way more gruesome, and just like like they just like don't even care that if it's a good movie or not, just because it's just so fucked up. And the whale, I remember this, like that scene, he like bites her leg off, and it's just like so intense and so brutal. And I remember watching that as a kid.
Love it.
And then kind of probably like a scene that I just absolutely shit, man. I could pick like any of them from The Witch. Like the Witch has been, to me, like almost every scene is just like, that's my favorite scene ever. And then the next scene happens, like that's my favorite. Like when Black Phillip is up on his hind legs, or like the Live Deliciously scene, or like when she goes in the woods and all the witches are kind of floating and hovering around the fire.
Yes.
Like every single scene of that is just so perfect that I'm just like, I wish that anything in my work was as good as that one still,
Oh, shit. Yeah, I mean, it is funny that you mentioned that too, because there's not, I mean, horror all in all, there might be like little bits or, pieces of different things, but that movie in particular, there's so much that's just unsettling about it, and it's like every once in a while, even I feel like, kind of when you're trying to listen to what they're saying and you might not have necessarily caught on to what it was that they're saying, then 2 seconds later, something happens. You're like, oh shit, that's what they're talking about. Like, oh my God, it's like, it's such an uncomfortable, and kind of to go along with that too. Have you seen Midsommar?
Yes. Yes, same type of vibe where, it's great when you can get it. Like the thing that I liked about The Witch so much that I know a lot of people complained about, even the people that were sitting next to me, they were like, that's stupid. That wasn't a scary movie. And I'm just like, yo, like, I don't think you're appreciating what you're getting out of that movie, because you actually sit there watching it, and in your head, you're starting to accuse characters, and it's putting you in the position of being in that place and in that time, where it's just like, you understand the hysteria that happened because it's like some unexplained stuff is going on, and this one did it, this one did it, this one's possessed or whatever. And you're like, yeah, no, that's the one. That's it. No, it's this, and it's the fact that it kind of like twists your brain into that world is what makes it so special, and I think that's, it's that additional layer. It's not just like Freddy Krueger, which is also fun, but like you're not like sitting there just being like, oh my God, I'm so wrapped up in this. You're just like having a good time. You know, with the witch, it was just like you are sucked in. You might as well be sitting on a rock next to, you know, watching all this stuff happen.
Right. Yeah. I love that. That's a good point too. I can totally see that as far as, you know, it gives it a little bit of a different depth, you know, to just sitting and enjoying something, being like, oh man, that was a great movie. I didn't see that coming. Whereas, you know, you kind of, you know, put yourself in the situation and you're trying to, you know, sift through. Right. For sure. I can see that.
Exactly.
All right. Last up, let me ask you, as far as if you could have any one prop from any horror movie ever, you know, for your collection, for your studio, what would you take from a movie and have for your own?
Oh man. From any horror movie. I mean, I don't really I don't appreciate the term that's used, but like in The Gate, the kid's wearing a denim vest that says "Killer Dwarves" on the back.
Yes.
I want that.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I would want that.
Oh, I'm gonna have to go and watch that movie. There are so many fucking things I completely forgot about, and that is so sick.
Yeah,
oh
it was pretty sick. It was like as metal and as DIY as it can get. And I remember just thinking it was so cool. And it's just like the thought of it, of like what it means. You're just like, oh my God, it's ridiculous. Like that level of like absurdity, you know, that like only the 80s could achieve.
Oh man, good choice. Solid choice. That is so amazing. Holy shit. I love that. All right, man, this is going to be our time. I have one finale question for you, but this is your opportunity just as far as to let everybody know, you know, some things that you have going on, you know, if anything, you know, just kind of pitch your socials or, you know, the new episodes of the podcast. This is your opportunity, man.
Yeah, I mean, we do a podcast called The Nose Knows, and it's basically just like people write in and they ask questions about like stuff. Like we try to answer stuff that people don't normally get answers to. We've done an episode or two where we've had like a designer on and just be like, yo, this happened to me. Is this bullshit or am I wrong? And we would walk through it with them, you know, so, and then, you know, talk pop culture, you goof off and stuff like that. Basically kind of the thing that you would do in a studio if you're working, talk about work, talk about movies, talk about music, talk about stupid things that happen to you, just like trying to be, you know, your studio partner while you're sitting there at a desk, you know, by yourself, like get a little bit of life in your ears. And the other thing that I'm excited about is we started a new notebook company. So it's like a notebook sketchbook. They're called Ugly Books, and they're instead of just kind of like a regular, you know, pocket notebook or whatever, they use all different color pages and everything too. So it's really kind of like, you know, you can draw in chalk and paint and marker and, you know, different color pencils and stuff.
Oh, like damn.
That. And just like a way to kind of like, you know, change it up. Because sometimes like when you have a regular notebook or whatever, or a regular, you know, like moleskin or something like that, you have like this one, you know, idea of like what it's supposed to be. These are the whole idea is to just kind of like throw all that away. They're still cheap enough that if you do a bunch of garbage in it, you can just throw it out and not kill yourself for it, you know. But it's just like, you know, like just to give yourself the opportunity to try something different. And the whole, like, you know, like there's no lines in it, there's no dots in it. It's just this cool colored paper, and it's just you know, they're a little bit bigger than your normal pocket books, but then there's also kind of like a wide version, which is twice as wide. So there's, you know, it's like a really cool landscape version. So if you really want to draw like for a graffiti artist or, you know, lettering, calligraphy, cool long illustrations, whatever, like, and it's like, it's cool for all ages. So like I'm really excited to be able to launch that soon. So that'll probably,
sick.
We don't have an official launch date for it yet, but it's probably going to be in the next month or two. So, we have an Instagram account. It's at Ugly Books, but with an extra U at the beginning and an extra S at the end. So it's something I can't wait to share with everybody.
Sick. Very cool. Is that going to be something you're going to have on your website, or are you looking on branching it out to like an Amazon type thing, or is that not?
We're going to try and get it everywhere. Unfortunately, I don't have any of the samples here with me, but it's uglybooks.co is where it's going to live. And we're in the middle of finishing up the website now. And it's hopefully we do our job and it'll be everywhere that you can find a notebook or a sketchbook. So that's the plan, and we'll see how far we get.
Hell yeah, that is so cool. I love that. That's cool, man. I mean, all the stuff that that you're doing with the studio and the different things, as far as once I got the book, it's everything is so cool that you're doing. So I appreciate it, and I know everybody that's that's fans that's tuning in, especially with the podcast. Like, there's so much shit on there that's been so cool to listen to and just kind of get that first person insight and listen to, or different things, from somebody maybe doubting themselves and thinking like, should I be thinking this, or am I wrong for thinking this? So many cool things. So if there's anybody watching, I'm gonna have this edited on YouTube as well, so that'll be on there as well. And so anybody that's watching that stuff, for sure check it out, because there's so much cool shit. And every once in a while ragging on the old intern, that's fun to hear. Putting him through the works there.
He's my punching bag. What can I say?
Oh god. All right, man. So this last finale here, I was trying to do a little bit of digging between the book, between the podcast, different interests of yours. And one thing that in particular that I'd landed on was your interest in fear of the werewolves.
Ooh.
So something you mentioned in the book here, that was initially where I heard that. I'm like, all right, so what we're going to have here, if you and I, let's say we're the producers and involved in making a new werewolf movie. All right. And I said, Jon, look, you have to come up with the director and the actor and or actress that goes through the transformation. Let's start off. Who's going to be the director of this werewolf movie?
Oh God, you're killing me. Oh man, who's gonna be the director of the werewolf movie? Dude, I mean, if you want it done right, and I think if you want it done right, it's the dude who did The Witch.
Robert Eggers.
That guy, yeah, yes, thank you.
Totally.
He did that. He would create the scariest werewolf movie that there ever was. Now, so like as a kid, I used to find them terrifying, especially the transformation, right? As an adult, I've really grown to love it. And I've really grown to just appreciate it. And once, I would always, whenever something would scare me as a kid, I would always end up forcing myself to watch more and more and more of it until it became like a love.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what happened with werewolf stuff. And to me, like, that is one of the most terrifying things in the world, like that whole idea of transformation and just like your bones cracking and ripping and your skin and like that whole I forget what the name of the movie was. I saw it recently. It was something like The Wolf of Snow Mountain or something. You know what I'm talking about? The Wolf of
Oh yeah. I haven't
seen
it, but I know what you're talking about.
Dude, there is a scene in that movie. It ends up being not what you think it is, but there's a scene in that movie where you see the werewolf stand, and there's a silhouette with the lighting and everything, and it is such a sick scene. It is just unbelievable. And then I think when it comes to directing, like if you take that and you apply it with the same kind of like serious twist that The Witch has. And one of the things I loved about The Witch was that every witch cliche is in that movie, and none of it seems cheesy.
Yeah, for sure.
They're riding broomsticks, and it doesn't seem stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
true.
Robert Eggers, man, he would kill it. I mean, in terms of like who would be the best, that's one of those things, man, where it's just like there's no one better than an unknown to play these parts, because it's like whenever you see, like, I think you remember when like Jack Nicholson did like Wolf or whatever it was.
Oh yeah. Okay.
It's like, it's cool because it's Jack Nicholson, but at the same time, it's just like, it's Jack Nicholson. Like, if Jack Nicholson turned into a werewolf, I'd be like, yo, werewolf Jack Nicholson, what's up? You know?
Yeah, right. It's like Nicolas Cage taking on a you know, a character or whatever. It's like, God damn it, dude, you're still Nicolas Cage.
Exactly. Like, it needs to be like the weird neighbor down the block or something like that. Like, it needs to be someone you've never seen before in order for it to be truly scary, I think.
I totally dig that.
Yeah.
And I can appreciate that too, just because every once in a while you have movies where they get the big old stars, and like the most recent Joker, you had Joaquin Phoenix, and I'm like, that is not gonna work. And dude, did you see that?
I didn't see it yet, but I'd like to because it seems pretty sick.
Man, it rules. Honestly, it was so good.
That's a rarity though, that you get a big, huge star come in and play a part like that and not make you like 9 times out of 10 you're watching and you're just like, that's Ben Affleck, you know?
Yeah, right. Right. All right, dude. Look, this has been absolutely amazing. I truly appreciate your time with this, and you know, thank you so much from me to you. This has been awesome, man.
Yeah, dude. Thank you for having me. This was a really fun one. You spanned the globe of all of my favorite things, so I appreciate that.
Not a problem. All right. You got the Lo-Fi Horror Guy, my dude Jon Contino. Check his stuff out. Is it Ugly Books?
Ugly Books.
Ugly Books. All right, dude. Can't wait for it. You take care and stay safe.
Thanks, man. You too.
Bye.
He's a lo-fi horror guy. Yeah, he's kind of a guy, but he is so lo-fi a horror guy. Yeah. Lo-Fi Horror Guy has been recorded in front of a live studio audience.